What's up guys, this is Chris here, and today we're going to be talking about a budget 2011, the Girsan Witness 2311. Now this is an interesting pistol and I had a lot of people ask me for my review. We did get this from Girsan, but that definitely won't change my opinion. Now, before we get into the video, I do want to mention my Patreon supporters. Thank you guys very much. You guys paid for the ammo for this video, and we really appreciate it. If you want to support the channel, that really is the best way to do it. We really go out of our way to make content for you and not the industry, and the industry doesn't always like us for that, so we appreciate your support. I also want to mention a local shelter in Ames, Iowa. It's the YSS. Those kids could really use your help, so please go down there and donate to those kids. And then finally, I want to thank the sponsor of this video, the Sonoran Desert Institute. The Sonoran Desert Institute is a online university where you can get an education in the firearms industry. If you want to get an education in gunsmithing or maybe drone operation or any number of different fields, and right now gunsmiths are getting a great living, at least where I live, and there's very few of them, so I definitely think it's a good way to go. So if you decide to get an education in gunsmithing, you can work on 2011s like the one we're about to show you. Now, the Girsan 2311 is very, very cheap for a 2011, but it's not exactly as cheap as I think a lot of people thought it was going to be when it came out. But it does have a lot of redeeming features and qualities to it, so it's an interesting gun to review. This is a 4 1/4. This is the 2311C, which just means it has a commander length frame, or a commander length slide, sorry, 4 1/4 inch barrel as opposed to the full 5 inch. For a 9mm, that's generally what you want anyway. 5 inch was really popular for the 45. However, with the 9mm, I do feel the recoil impulse and the overall working of the gun works a little bit better with a slightly shorter barrel. Atlas does it at 4.6, Staccato does it at 4.4, and a lot of companies come out with the 4.25 because they can use a standard 1911 slide and throw it on a double stack frame and it works. Now this one here in particular comes with a dot right out of the factory. It is the RMSC pattern, the shield pattern, and it's all those little micro dots. Now the reason for the micro dot mount is because 1911 slides are very thin and usually they run thinner optics. There are adapter plates that you can put bigger optics on there, but it will stick out past the slide like some big old love handles, so be aware of that. Now we do have white front dot sight on there, and then the box does come with a rear sight that is adjustable if you want that instead of the dot. We have a bushing on the gun instead of a bull barrel, which we'll get into here in a little bit. We have some slide serration. We have a Picatinny rail mount on the bottom there for lights and lasers. You can see the TLR1 is on there. We have a single action only trigger, and that's sort of what the 1911 2011 is famous for. It has a really light, really crisp trigger with a really fast reset because it is single action. So you have to have the hammer engaged, you have to operate the manual safety, and you do have to work the grip safety. Now all that is a compromise in order to get a very good trigger. We have a polymer lower, which is very similar to Staccato, except obviously a little bit lower budget. It actually has really good texture to it, although the included magwell is not done very well in my personal opinion. It looks cool, don't get me wrong. It's got the little cuts so you can pull the magazines out. It actually has a big bump on the back here, which I do not like. I have really big hands, and that bump is generally supposed to push your hand up into the grip, but if you have a good grip, you don't need that. It just makes it uncomfortable, and if you have big hands, it's actually relatively hard to get a hold of the gun, and simply because this bump keeps pushing your hand all the time, and I felt like it did affect my recoil control a little bit. Now the gun itself has an aluminum frame. I don't know actually what the full-size ones are. This is the only one I have experience with. The full-size 5-inch may very well have a steel frame, but this one has an aluminum frame, and it is sort of designed for bougie carry. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a little bit lighter, a little more maneuverable, quick out of the holster, easier to carry, but it's going to have a harsher recoil impulse than something with a steel frame. Now the 2011 is certainly an acquired taste because it requires you to generally learn a new battery of arms if you didn't grow up on the 1911. Most people grew up on striker-fired pistols, and it does take a little bit of a learning curve to learn how to use the 2011 correctly. Also, the 2011 generally comes with a relatively higher cost for higher performance. The 2011 or 1911 pistols have single action triggers, so they do have a lighter and crisper trigger than almost any gun on the market, allowing them to have greater accuracy. They're usually made to higher specs, so they have better barrels, they have better sights, and usually you can get extreme performance out of them, which is why people seek them out and they pay huge amounts of money for them, like Staccato or Atlas. The recoil impulse is good, generally they're high quality, and usually that's what people want. So they lately, over the past year or so, people have been making a lot more budget-friendly 2011s. It started with Bull Armory. Now we have the Live Free Armory Apollo 11. There's a Tios out there that I haven't tried yet. There's the Girsan, and there's several other companies along with the Platypus and many others. Some do it very well, and some not so much. Again, the 2011 is an acquired taste because unlike a striker-fired pistol, it generally has to have a little bit more attention to it to make it reliable and accurate. Interestingly enough, the Girsan takes a different approach, and they try to use more of a budget-oriented part set, feature set, and quality of performance. So first off, let's get into speed and accuracy, since that is what I think a lot of people want to buy this for. First off, the gun is around $800 to $900. Now, that is more than a lot of pistols on the market, however, much less than most 2011s. If you're looking at a Staccato, for example, this is the Staccato CS. This one, optics ready, is $2,500. And if you look at the silhouette of the guns, they look almost exactly the same. They're very similar in idea, and they're very similar in feature set. However, the Staccato definitely has a lot more money into R&D and quality performance. Now, you get down to maybe like an $1,100 or $1,200 Apollo 11. This one's obviously a full 5-inch, but you can still feel the crisp performance and feel in the gun. You can feel when you work the gun, it's nice and smooth. And this one obviously comes with features that the Girsan does not, a full-length guide rod, bull barrel, etc. So interesting design and definitely way lower in cost. Get into the Girsan here, and what you get out of the deal is you get an 8-pound trigger as opposed to the 3 or 4-pound triggers of the other guns. So that's the first initial problem I had with the gun, is the fact that you buy the gun for speed and performance, and I didn't really get that. First off, as far as speed goes, what you're looking for is a light, crisp trigger, so you can defeat that easily for accuracy, and then you're looking for a quick reset. So what we have here is an 8-pound pull. You can see there. Try it one more time. Short pull. It's not like an 8-pound HK trigger where you have to pull the 8 pounds all the way down. It's very short, and the reset is very short. So the repeat fire is really nice. That's one thing it has going for it. But 8 pounds I feel like is way too much. As far as accuracy goes, we had pretty terrible accuracy with this. And that's generally why I buy 1911s. And I can speculate why that is as well. First off, the quality components is not really there. Second off, the sighting system is awful. This does come with an included red dot. However, I would recommend that you unscrew it and throw it in the trash immediately when you get it. We shot it in just regular daylight around 4 or 5 o'clock during rain, and at both times it was flickering, failing, and it was so low light we couldn't really see anything. Dot's dead.
Is it?
Yeah, rain killed the dot. Add to the fact that within 200 rounds or so, the dot actually got so loose that we lost zero completely, and I was shooting the iron sights through the red dot anyway. The red dot might as well not even have been there, and if I would have had just a quality set of iron sights, I would have been better off. Now let's get into ergonomics, and as I talked about earlier, I do feel like the magwell could use a little improvement, maybe a little bit more straighter on the end. The light rail would only fit the TLR 1. I actually tried several X300s, I tried the TLR 7, I tried a lot of different lights on this gun, and the only one that would actually fit is the TLR 1. Now let's get into reliability here. We had a lot of failures with the Girsan 2311. First off, my wife started out shooting this, she actually broke this pistol in with 115 grain ammunition, and immediately she started seeing a lot of failures to extract.
Nope. Malfunction.
And a lot of the magazines ejecting themselves while she was shooting.
Right, now we have a regular size Staccato mag, so we'll see how that one works. Oh. I'm gonna assume it does not like the Staccato mags based on what's been happening.
The magazines themselves are Checkmate mags. You can see here, mine came with 2 of them. However, I do have dozens and dozens of other 2011 mags, so we did test those out. The Checkmate mags, I believe, are made after the Staccato pattern Gen 2, and those didn't work at all. We can actually pull them right out of the magazine. This is actually an Atlas mag. You can see here, I can rip that right out. I'm not pressing the magazine release, and I can take it right out of the gun. And that would happen frequently while we were shooting. This is a Staccato Gen 2. I don't know if I can pull that one out. I can pull that one out. So that's first up. The magazine catch really sucks. I don't know what they did, but it's not great. We used 115 grain and 147 grain ammunition, and we continue to have not only extremely erratic ejection.
The ejection pattern was a little strange. Sometimes it was coming back and hitting me right in the face, so we'll keep an eye on that. Oh shit. Getting brass in the titties.
They were literally going everywhere from literally 12 o'clock all the way to 6 o'clock and back, and it didn't matter what ammunition or what grain of ammunition we used. We used Blazer 115 grain, we used Federal 115 grain, and we used Winchester 147 grain, and all of them experience unique and awesome malfunctions, as you can see in the footage here. Honestly, that's sort of what I expected, considering this is sort of the first iteration of this firearm at this price point. So that being said, it is relatively affordable, and it did run about 90%. Now, will Girsan come out with a Gen 2? Possibly. They might come out with some fixes right away. Hell, they might already have them. We've had this gun for a little while. I like the idea that there are budget 2011s. Overall, we're gonna put a shitload more rounds for this. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. Please support your Oklahoma shelters, and remember to recycle. I'll check you later. Girsan, I turned the light there, you see that? Today we're going to be talking about, not the light, but today we're going to be talking about the Girsan.
My little PICs causing chaos while I'm trying to work.